Welcome back, everyone. I'm happy to present Alex, who will be discussing Subsocial, the decentralized social networking system on Substrate. Alex?
Hi, Bill. Thank you for having me. Today, I'm a little bit sick, so don't mind if I will sound a little bit slow or, I don't know, lost. But let's talk about great use case of Substrate at our project. It's called Subsocial, and this is a social networking plus finance protocol built on top of Substrate blockchain framework. And let's start with a classic slide that talks about problems, so like why are we doing this, what are we trying to solve, and I would like to highlight 5 of most interesting and challenging problems that we are trying to solve. It's includes global censorship, unfair monetization, monopoly on network effects, lack of customization for social networking, and algorithm dictatorship. I think I will get into some of them, not all of them. And let's start with unfair monetization. So everyone knows that on existing Web 2.0 social networks, such as YouTube, Patreon, Twitch, whatever, you have some number of monetization methods, like 2, 3, 4 methods. But if you look at DeFi, you can see that there are endless ways to be creative in terms of what monetization ways you could have. And we think that by utilizing blockchain and smart contracts, we could have endless ways on monetization for social networking as well. Next thing, let's talk about monopoly on network effects. This is a very important one as well, because social networks are very cornerstone of our communication online, and we use them every day, most of the people. And why they're so powerful? Because they own these network effects. And you can think that at one side we provided our data to these corporations, and from the other side we cannot fully utilize what we provided to them, and you need to ask access to get your data, and sometimes you cannot even get access to their API. Whereas if built on blockchain, like in our case, you already have open social networking graph out of the box that is permissionless, and anyone can have access to anything that is put there by users of this social network built on blockchain. And let's talk about last one. For example, again, let's get back to this API thing of social networks. So you can think like you can use API and build something alternative and maybe some sort of even competitor to existing social networks. But actually you cannot do it because they're kind of limiting access, rate limiting your requests, and they actually don't give us full spectrum of all the possible features of what they have on their side, on their backends. But in case with blockchains, again, it's blockchain is by default open permissionless system, right? And it already has built-in API, and you can extend it with other tools like GraphQL and off-chain indexing and on all this stuff. And it means that with Subsocial, you can build endless alternative user interfaces, backends to social networking, and build your own niche communities on top of open distributed permissionless social graph. Okay. I would like to say thank you to such organizations like Web3 Foundation and Parity, because they're very supportive to us and other teams, more than like 30, 40, I don't remember exactly, but in our case, we successfully applied and delivered 2 technical grants to Web3 Foundation. It consisted of 5 milestones, and most of the works you already see in working on Subsocial. So Subsocial consists of what we've done during this grants for Web3 Foundation. And also we are part of the first batch at Substrate Builders program, and this is very great and helpful initiative. We had a lot of webinars and special events and open and supportive chats for participants of Builders program. So if you have a chance to join it, I highly recommend to doing so. So lots of us already know such terms like DeFi, NFT, Metaverse, and so on. And I think that at Subsocial, we're kind of combining NFTs and DeFi and good old school social networking, but in decentralized way. So we call it SoFi. It means social finance. And one of the crucial elements of achieving this social finance future is that if you use social tokens, when every person, organization, or blog can have their social token optionally, of course, and by utilizing all the creativeness of smart contracts, we can get to the situation where we have everything we need on chain on the level of first-class citizens, such as your persona, your follower base, your assets, varying from posts to NFTs to avatar, whatever. And plus applying smart contracts and then tokens, you can monetize your activities, your user base, and your social graph. So among some of the core features of Subsocial, I would like to highlight such as we are building on Substrate. Of course, one of the killer features is upgradability. So whenever we develop, or if we want to develop new feature or improve existing one, we can easily upgrade our blockchain because of this killer feature of upgradability without forks of Substrate. Another cool thing that we have is Spaces. Spaces is like a blog or forum or subreddit or page on Facebook. So in our case, you have your own space, or even you can have multiple spaces. And such as we are on blockchain, and we have this multi-sigs and all that cool stuff, that you can think that your space as a DAO, and actually we're planning to allow issuing tokens there, and multi-sig addresses could own this space. So in this way, your classic kind of subreddit becomes DAO in case of Subsocial. Also, following all this DAO and on-chain governance, we can have transparent moderation. So, for example, in our case, we have developed such models for moderation where people can report inappropriate or legal content that is not following rules of a particular space, and moderators of that space or owner can review this and block or allow this content. Also, we're using such things like roles and permissions, and for those of you who are using Discord heavily, you can find this kind of similar, so that you can create such interesting dynamic roles like editor of your space, or moderator, or contributor, whatever. So it's very configurable. So, and more classical components of social networking that is well known from Web 2.0 is again like spaces that is analog to blogs, and then each space can have multiple posts, and the post can have comments and upvotes and downvotes. And in our situation, we do it through blockchain. Of course, some of you can think that it's not optimal, but we always can improve architecture and introduce off-chain posting and combine it with on-chain, so when users can decide what way they want to go. And everything works on Substrate version 3. Right now, we're moving to the latest Substrate, and content such as images and titles of posts, text, body of post is stored on IPFS. On Substrate, we store just CIDs. This is a content identifier from IPFS. And one of the coolest feature, in my opinion, is that we don't have email plus password authentication. So on Subsocial, you log in just with your Substrate key pair. For example, you can log in via Polkadot.js extension. And it means that on Subsocial, you own your keys, you own your content, right? So also we extend functionality of Subsocial with off-chain features that is not very possible and optimized to do on blockchain, such as personalized feed and notifications based on what spaces or authors you follow, and full text search where you can search for content from post and space via using, like, for example, Elasticsearch. And also our web app that works on top of blockchain, it's search engine optimized. And it means that when Googlebot requests page, it is rendered on backend. Yeah, so this is a part of search engine optimization from server rendering of our web app. But at the same time, what is cool is that Subsocial web app can be running inside of just IPFS, and the only thing is required to be connected to Substrate node. So let's show some demo. Let's do it real quick. So this is how Subsocial looks like. It has such thing as a current account. So you can see who you're following, who are followers, edit your profiles, check some roles if you have any editor roles on other spaces, for example. Also, you can switch between other accounts. For example, let's just check. So under Subsocial, I have this news feed, but I can easily switch to another account. Let's say this one. And then I have a little bit different feed. And of course, I have different notifications and balance. So for example, I can go to spaces and follow some space. Let's say I don't like anymore what Bill is writing about, and I can unfollow Bill. Yeah, so just wait for something about like 3 seconds on average. And now you have unfollowed Bill, right? But you still can go and see what Bill is writing here, and open commenting sections and upload here. Again, very simple, just click of a button. Yeah, so we uploaded comment on Bill Laboon's post. And you can obviously go to other spaces like Subsocial and see, for example, follower base. Yeah, so we have a pretty big list of followers here. And yeah, you can also see what spaces you own. For example, if you go to my spaces, like these ones, something like subkitties. And yeah, what else? And of course, a very interesting one is that, for example, editors. If you go to Subsocial, for example, it has editor. You can click here, and you can see that Jan Biff is editor, and he can submit posts. So you can see that here is Jan Biff is writing posts, but sometime before Subsocial account wrote posts. So in this way, you can see that it's not just your blog; it's more like a subreddit, actually. Yeah. So I think this is quite enough for demo, and let's go back to slides. So if you look at more closely at Subsocial architecture, the main component is Substrate, of course. So it's a base layer, and we developed something about 15 modules for social networking, in addition to source modules pallets that are shipped with Substrate, and includes spaces, posts, follows, ownership, roles, permission, and so on. Also, quite an important component, but even this is optional. It's IPFS, where we store images and contents of spaces, posts, and so on. And why I'm saying optional, because actually you can store your data in even like RV or even in private storage, and on Substrate you just need to store identifier to the content, and then web app or backend logic will resolve this data for you. Also, we use Postgres and Elasticsearch just to improve functionality with like full text search and notifications, because it's quite hard to get such reporting-like functionality from blockchain, because blockchain is more about key values kind of storages. And on top of it, of course, we have web applications that you just saw, and we are working on cross-platform mobile application in Flutter and Dart. Yeah, so as I mentioned, for Substrate, we developed quite a big list of social networking palettes, like spaces, posts, roles, and you can check them out in our repository. But I would like to say that one of the great things that allowed us to have quite understandable architecture and design of palettes is that you can couple them tightly and loosely. And there is a very great recipe on substrate.dev site called Pallet Coupling. And by reading this recipe, you can understand how to make your palettes smaller that are responsible just for specific set of functionality, but then combine and interact one to each other in a nice way, like tightly or loosely coupled way. Also, at Subsocial, we use some standard approaches to have consistency through the code and understandability for developers. For example, usually we have such structs like post spaces, and then inside we have like ID and such field like created, updated to see who created at what block. And then we have such things like owner and content and hidden field. And for example, hidden field is responsible for soft delete, because you cannot actually delete on blockchain without a trace, but you can sort of recommend to end user interfaces. So please don't show this content because our author owner don't want to show it. Also, regarding storages, how we work with them in Substrate, usually we have this approach where we have maps. For example, by ID or by space ID, you can have its owner. By owner of a space, you can have a list of space IDs. Then, let's say by space ID, you can get details of a space. And then by post ID, you can have a list of reply IDs. Actually, it's vector in Rust. And by space ID, you can have a list of root posts IDs in that space. So that by using this approach with maps, you can easily have tree-like structure where you get by IDs some details, or by parent ID, the children IDs. And again, as I mentioned earlier, that we use some off-chain logic is thanks to such technologies like subsquid.io or subquery.network. You can subscribe to your Substrate events in off-chain. For example, in our case, we subscribe to this list of events like account followed, unfollowed, space created, updated, and so on. And then based on these events, we fulfill Postgres database and Elasticsearch, and then users can have their personalized feed, notifications, full text search, and all this cool stuff that is not easily achievable on a blockchain. Also, a very cool thing that is possible with Substrate is feeless transaction. We're still in development of this feature because it should be developed quite carefully, because if developed wrong, then your blockchain could be DDoSed. But if developed correctly, users can have free transactions, for example, based on amount of tokens of your protocol locked for 1 month, let's say. And this will be a great user experience improvement. About free transactions, you can watch this YouTube video with Sean Tabrizi and read his and check out his fork of Substrate developer, Substrate template. Also, we're working on Flutter Sdks. This is a framework from Google for creating cross-mobile applications. Currently, we developed read-only functionality and working on current user, such as like create import accounts, sign off transactions. But we have already working application, not yet published. And this application works via foreign function interface. It calls code written in Rust, and it works with Sub0 library that knows how to get data and send data from blockchain. So it's very cool. And if you want to check out what we have, just visit this link on GitHub/DappForce. This is our company. Also, we have such interesting tool that we developed quite recently. It's called Sub-ID. And this with Sub-ID, you can see a very interesting feature of Substrate is that even if addresses look differently, all of them are derivable one from each other because of Substrate nature of addresses. And this is very cool because you can go to you can get any account. Let's say I have opened actually Bill Laboon over here, and you can see public portfolio. So it's like decentralized public portfolio manager explorer. You can see like pie chart with locked free balances. You can see contributions to crowd loans, and again, you can see them in a chart way. You can even unpin something of this. You can see assets from StateMine, not all of them, but some that are most popular. And of course, you can see your favorite birds if you have. I think here you can see some birds, right, on Raul account. Yeah, and yeah, so we are a relatively small team, under 10 people, and we are hiring. So if you're interested to build a decentralized social networking with on-chain finance, and you would like to join us, so just message us on Twitter or in our chats. And here are our links. Thank you for listening to me.
All right. Thank you very much, Alex, although I was a little upset that you unfollowed me.
I will do it again.
That's fine. Just one question. So I know that there's a direct connection with your Polkadot account or Kusama account. Is there any thoughts of also integrating decentralized identity solutions, of which there are several in the Polkadot ecosystem?
Yeah, are you talking about something like Kilt?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, we even discussed. We already had a couple of calls with them, and we're in good contact. And we are very, very interested. But for example, Kilt was very, very busy with Parachains through this year, and now after Parachains, some also work should be done on their side, and on our side we have tons of things to work on. But in short, yes, we're super, super interested to add support for decentralized identities. Yeah, it's true.
Okay. All right, thank you. I see there are a lot of other questions in the chat, so please go to the Discord, or you definitely can see Alex and team in the community quite often. So thank you again, Alex. That was a very, very great presentation. And now let's just take a few moments while we prepare for the next speaker.